Money is cool.
Onto it, man. 10-6-9er, 10-6-9er, we got whores in the city. We need backup now. Don't be so dang literal.
Well, you've got one heck of a nerve.
Oh my God! The government is here! Run!
Hey, barkeep, whose leg do you have to hump to get a dry martini around here?
Ich bin ein Springfielder.
Shut the hell up. I've got the strangest feeling someone's gonna kick his ass.
You guys, this is all Kyle's mom's fault. Shut up, Cartman. Kyle's mom is the one that started that damn club, and all because she's a big, fat, stupid bitch. Don't say it, Cartman. Wait. Don't do it, Cartman. Wait. I'm warning you. Okay.
Hello, peasants.
Wanna kill all humans?
We're there, dude. We'd like some money.
Yeah, money.
Money is cool.
Onto it, man. 10-6-9er, 10-6-9er, we got whores in the city. We need backup now. Don't be so dang literal.
Well, you've got one heck of a nerve.
Oh my God! The government is here! Run!
Hey, barkeep, whose leg do you have to hump to get a dry martini around here?
Ich bin ein Springfielder.
Shut the hell up. I've got the strangest feeling someone's gonna kick his ass.
Hello, peasants.
Wanna kill all humans?
We're there, dude. We'd like some money.
Yeah, money.
Money is cool.
Onto it, man. 10-6-9er, 10-6-9er, we got whores in the city. We need backup now. Don't be so dang literal.
Well, you've got one heck of a nerve.
Oh my God! The government is here! Run!
Hey, barkeep, whose leg do you have to hump to get a dry martini around here?
Ich bin ein Springfielder.
Shut the hell up. I've got the strangest feeling someone's gonna kick his ass.
You guys, this is all Kyle's mom's fault. Shut up, Cartman. Kyle's mom is the one that started that damn club, and all because she's a big, fat, stupid bitch. Don't say it, Cartman. Wait. Don't do it, Cartman. Wait. I'm warning you. Okay.
Hello, peasants.
Wanna kill all humans?
We're there, dude. We'd like some money.
Yeah, money.
Money is cool.
Aren't you ashamed? 10-6-9er, 10-6-9er, we got whores in the city. We need backup now. Don't be so dang literal.
Well, you've got one heck of a nerve.
Oh my god, the government is here. Run.
Hey, barkeep, whose leg do you have to hump to get a dry martini around here?
Ich bin ein Springfielder.
All right, everybody, we're here live on YouTube. We got no one in the chat today, but the chats are apparently going to pop up on screen today. Figured I'd try something cool, new and fresh. No, nothing popped up right now, so I guess it didn't work.
I like new, cool, and fresh. That's always a good thing. New, cool, and fresh should be the slogan for Totally Toonular, James.
Cool and fresh. Even though things just
New-
feel like they keep getting worse and worse. We lost our way to stream through Skype. We had a bunch of guests planned for today that all of them are gone and didn't happen.
Everybody bails. Everybody bails. I made a scheduling snafu earlier in the week and then said, don't worry about tonight. Meanwhile, we should have worried about tonight. So, but next week we got a hell of a thing planned.
Yeah,
we have a hell of a thing planned.
We will announce it. So that'll be later. But
Yeah.
today, man, hey, we're fucking here. We're still doing this shit live every week. But you know what? It's been a good day. I've had an awesome day because you know what? New Sum 41 song came out today. And it was awesome. What a way to wake up.
I low-key saw on socials that
I mean,
you
I posted
have
it everywhere, so.
Yeah, you've already watched it like 37 times.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, there it is. Look, Dwayne's comment popped up. Fuck yeah.
There you
It
go.
worked that. What's up,
That's what we do it for. That's what we do it for.
But yeah, man, new song, man, makes me so happy. And, you know, most people probably listen to this don't care. But, and their new album is going to be, not only is it going to be their last album, apparently, because they're breaking up this year, it's going to be a double album. So they're doing 10 songs, like the new song they put out, like the kind of more pop punk stuff. And then they're also going to have another 10 songs that's like their metal stuff that they've also been doing for years. So it's going to be like this half just like punk and metal album, which is gets me pumped. And my cousin's in the chat. Look, I got family in the chat today.
Got fam in the chat.
Though he's my one cousin that didn't see Cuck Island, though. All his other brothers are the ones who bought the T-shirts down in North Carolina.
So the only pure cousin you still have left.
Yeah. I know my cousin's that pure, though. You know, we got into some crazy shit on a couple of Thanksgivings. But yeah, well, hanging out with us in the chat today. But yeah, man, like I said, do some 41 song. You can't, I can't start off a day better than that, you know? It's everything I need that pushes me. And the music video was about a bunch of skaters. So I was like, they just got me. They got me everywhere.
They hit you where you live, right?
Yeah.
They hit you where you live. That's the thing about like a favorite band. So me and Jen,
again?
There was a band that we used to follow around a lot called the Gourds, right? And we would go and see them in Portland, in Seattle. We saw them in Boise. We saw them in Montana. Like we've seen them all over, right? Amazing band. They make a documentary and then break up shortly after. Okay. Now, fast forward to earlier this week, I'm in in this weird sort of nostalgic Gourds Facebook group where everybody just is like, I wish the Gourds still existed. I wish they were still there. It's one of those groups, and sometimes I go there to feel good. Anyway, one of the former lead singers, this guy, he goes by the name of Shiny Ribs. He covered one of their songs in his set recently, and then he added a gin and juice tag to it because the Gourds' first big quote unquote hit was a cover of Gin and Juice by
awesome.
Snoop Dogg.
That's great.
Well, it's a sad song that he was playing, and then he just added it in this like sad little tag. And dude, literally, like me and Jen are both sitting out on the deck, just like weepy-eyed because like I miss those shows. They were spectacular. Yeah. They were spectacular.
Exactly, man. Some bands just bring you back like that. So I watched this video. It's all just about like, young skaters. Just it brings you back. And man, in a month I'll be going to Vegas where they're, all these bands are doing this mega show. Like it's headlined by Green Day and Blink-182, and it's Sum 41, Good Charlotte, Less Than Jake, Goldfinger.
Oh my God!
Bowling for Soup, some other like late '90s, 2000s bands. It's crazy. Bands that'll never play together ever again in one day in Vegas.
That's the When We Were Young tour, right?
Exactly. I bought my tickets a year ago, and it's like, oh wow, it's coming up like fucking quick.
That's amazing.
And I'm going with my brother and one of my like best friends who I've seen Sum 41 with for like forever. So it's gonna be epic.
Oh my God. Are you guys like road tripping or flying or what?
Flying. I did the road trip once to Vegas. I'm not going through that whole trip again. That's a long drive, man. Long drive.
You don't want to live back through that?
No.
Again?
It was hard enough to go back to Vegas,
Is this your first trip back?
Yeah, literally. Like it literally took Sum 41 to bring me to Vegas again. And I'm not going anywhere else. Like I'm still like afraid to go walk around Vegas.
You're like it's from the airport to the show, back to the airport.
Yeah, and we're also we're going also to the punk rock museum. I don't know if you heard about this.
No.
So Fat Mike from NoFX opened up a punk rock museum where it's all these literally punk rock from the 70s all the way till now, just like artifacts, and I say artifacts like they're old, but like props and like wardrobe, guitars and whatever, just like this whole museum of all these bands over the years, which looks fucking sick.
Bro, I hate to tell you this. Like, I really do hate to tell you this. Punk is like a half a century old.
Yeah, that's why I said artifacts.
They are. They're literally like artifacts at this point.
That's what
insane.
makes me excited, though. I'm excited to check it out, especially because who knows if I'll ever go back to Vegas. So why not go to the punk rock museum?
You're 2 stops in Vegas, and then you're gonna come back from this whole thing, and you're gonna be like, I made 10 additional stops along the way.
I end up losing all my money, blew it again on strippers and casino.
I mean, I'll send you with 20, but you got to play nickel slots, and you got to show me that it's my $20 bill that you're playing.
I'll get you some movie money.
Yeah, give me some of that movie money. What are you talking about? That's what we need. That's what we need. We need budget.
Put it all on red.
But I mean, you've also got speaking of movie stuff, you've got a shoot coming up.
Oh, Saturday. Yeah, Dwayne, if you're still in chat, man, Saturday we're finally shooting the flashback scenes for Portrait of Payback, which I'm excited about because we were supposed to shoot it last weekend, but then we got rained out and COVID out. But now we're back in full swing.
So can I ask how the rest of the cut's coming along?
Oh, it's great. So we're at 9 minutes right now. I haven't worked on it all week because I had this at-home job that I just finished today. So tomorrow I can finally get past the 9 minutes because it's getting there. Still needs some work obviously, but it's awesome to see a full movie together. It's sickening and amazing at the same time.
I am stoked to see this. Like I saw a little bit of what you were putting together beforehand, like some of the test stuff.
Yeah, the rehearsal footage.
The rehearsals. Yeah. And then I watched the what is it? Some of the CG tests that you were doing,
Yeah.
right? I don't want to give any spoilers, but I watched some of the CG
Yeah, it's
tests
coming out
that you were
good.
doing.
Virgil, that VFX. And yeah, man, I hope people dig it. And this is unlike most things I've tried to make or I've worked on. Like I don't have a bigger aspiration of this thing, unlike most things. Like, I don't know, when I was trying to really push Underpowered, I wanted it to be this like real show, you know what I mean? But with this, I got so tired of getting a little behind the scenes of shit that I've worked on, not including Where Deer. But I was just getting sick of just bullshit, of just people constantly thinking that whatever they're doing is like this grandiose, it's like the next Clerks or Terrifier, you know what I mean? And I was just so sick of this and trying to make my own feature. I don't know, I kept hitting roadblocks with working with other people's bullshit, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take it a step back and I want to do an action movie. I remember I wrote a short, 2 years ago about your laundromat.
Right.
I've been wanting to do an action movie, and then that also didn't work out, so I was like, what else can I do? And then I just brought it back. I remembered the most fun I had on set directing was making Bloodstab with Dwayne Steeler. So I was like, let's bring it back. Let's just go back to something a little simpler, but also fucking badass and new. So I don't know, I just hope people like it, but I'm not I don't know. I guess I don't really care also what people think about it, because I got to have Dwayne kick everyone's ass,
But isn't that like the best part of the whole thing though? Like isn't it truly when you make a thing with like little or no aspiration for it, and then all of a sudden you're making it because you want to.
Yeah.
So there's number one, right? You're making a thing that you feel is important and valuable enough to you.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted it to exist, essentially.
If everybody else buys into that, it's like the same thing they say about like a stand-up comedian. You know what I mean? Like, it's the exact same thing. If you sent me a thing today with Dan Harmon, right? Talking about the best advice he ever got or the last advice he ever got. And it was Tom Kenny from SpongeBob said, go back through your set list and cross out everything that didn't make you actually laugh out loud when you wrote it down. And I feel like this movie is you doing that. It's like crossing out everything else that doesn't matter. This makes you happy. This makes you feel good. And I think it'll resonate. I think it'll show through.
It resonates, I hope Dwayne, he's listening to the chat. I hope he loves it too, make him a fucking action star, Who would have thought, we've got a fucking Dwayne action movie out here. Steeler, Wick.
You got well, listen, we're getting hell yeahs left and right, you know what I mean? Hell yeah. But the kicker there too is like when you really do that and you bring that energy into a group environment in making this, right? Like, it fucking feeds into everybody that's working on it. Like, your DP is gonna catch it.
Yeah.
Reeves is gonna catch it. Steeler was bought in from the beginning. From the beginning. Brennan, all of those folks that put some Kelly, all those folks that have all these friends of the show that with Connor, all these people that have brought you so much, like, it's going to continue to build, and it catches. It's infectious.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Like I said, I can't wait for it. Hope people like it when it's out,
Yeah, no, I assure you they will. They can't. I've shown our screener of Where Deer to a couple of people, right? And Steeler's intro, like, it sets a tone for the rest of the film, and literally everybody who doesn't know Dwayne, doesn't know, like,
they don't even have to see him. It's just listening to him.
In our inside, they're not privy to like a bunch of the inside stuff. They don't know. They're like, who is that? And like, where is he in the movie? Where can we find more of this guy? And so like, I try to hit people to like his Insta and all of that stuff. And I'm like, that's our buddy Steeler. Like, what do you do? That's our homie. That's our friend. That's our guy.
That's our
Like,
superstar.
yeah.
Heavy metal maniac.
I mean, listen, artist extraordinaire. I have Nadia hanging up now. I won't explain what she is because it's a bit of a spoiler. But I do have the painting that he gave me hanging up. So there you go.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Portrait payback, man. Fuck you. Fuck yeah, Dwayne. You're the man.
Yes.
But Ben, so how's your week been going? What have you been up to?
Dude, it's been very mellow, like so far. It's been a kind of a quiet week over here. Actually, big congratulations to my buddy Megan and Jesse. They tied the knot this weekend.
Nice.
And I mean, listen,
Megan
after all
from
this
the
time,
48 who let us, live at our house for a full day.
yeah, and woke up to like you recording me slapping my ass
and Connor's butt.
and Connor's butt. We were just smacking butt.
And I remember, I don't remember who it was, or maybe actually I do remember, but I won't name names. But I remember somebody leaving their underwear in the living room.
I won't name names either, but I know someone who JO'd in her bathroom.
Oh.
So
congratulations, Megan. Thank you, for letting us be at your house.
But the crazier thing, other than that, is actually I saw my old college roommate from my freshman year at Western Kentucky University, because that's where I met Megan to begin with, right? Is a guy named Nick, and I hadn't seen him in probably maybe like 12, 13 years. It's been a minute,
Been a while.
And let's say what?
Been a while.
It's been a while. But like, so I'm sitting there with Jen, and we're eating this like finger food or whatever. And I'm sort of halfway sitting on the bench, and this guy comes up behind me, which was weird because the booth that we were sitting at, it was open sort of picnic table style seats. So he walks up behind me, but there's this wall immediately adjacent to the table. So he walks up, steps over the little bench, straddles me, and then gives me this big, weird, like gropey hug. And I didn't hit who it was because I knew they had to know me. And then out of my periphery, I can see like his outline. And then we just spent the night like catching up, and it was really, really beautiful.
That's amazing. I love when you see someone for the first time in a while, and it's just like, I don't know, it's almost like no time has passed. You know what I mean? Like instantly.
It was insanity. And then we literally like sort of just jumped in, and I have this. Now I have something to talk about. You know what I mean? Like, so
yeah.
I caught him up, forced him to watch the Werdeer trailer.
Was he a Trauma fan or anything like that?
So he knew me from back in the day as being like a big Trauma guy, and then being like, one of these days I'm gonna make me a Trauma movie. And all anybody says that knew me then is like, well, you did it. You did the thing you said you were gonna do, and that's. I think that's still the biggest joy of it for me. You know what I mean? Like, forget about the rest of it. That's the joy of it. Like, I set a goal, I achieved it. Now I have to do a new goal, and I can't take 20 years to do that goal.
Yeah. Let's do it in like 3.
Yeah. Well, 2-ish. I'll give it 2. But no, so hung out with him all night. That was really chill. And then, I mean, dude, it's been laundromat stuff. I've been working over there. Somebody broke one of the doors on one of the washers. It's all very boring.
No
shit
shit in the garbage cans this time.
No poop in the garbage cans. No actual human feces in the garbage can this week. That was very nice. What else has gone on, man? I mean, so Nashville Nightmare is going to pick back up on Friday night. So, yeah, and then our week starts to really get nuts. So
yeah, now it's October, so it's going to start going.
Bro, it was just for like the first 2.5 weeks, it was just like Friday, Saturday, right? Friday, Saturday. Yeah. That's it. Then now they're adding in Sunday this week. So it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, because Sunday is October 1st.
Ooh.
Right? And then we add in Thursday this coming week too. So it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And we do that for like 2 weeks. And then they add in like the other nights. And at one point, Tuesday is going to be the only day I have off.
Well, that's good. I mean, it's, you know, I've been in the same boat. We've had too many days off, so it's nice to work.
Dude, not only is it nice to work, but it's also like it's a crazy environment. Like you walk in and there's all these goblinies and these ghosties, and I mean, everybody's in costume, everybody's running around. It's like it's literally like I am not. I wouldn't be shocked if quite literally there were 4 guys in trench coats and then they took them off and it was like 4 men in turtle outfits just standing right there.
Wow, what a transition there.
Are 4 little teenagers in turtle outfits underneath that. And then you find out they're just teenagers.
That's right, because we're talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but now fuck, how do you say it?
Flashed forward?
Flash forward. I almost said fast forward. I don't know what I'm saying, man. Flash forward to the future, to the modern. To talk about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem, the new Ninja Turtles movie, man. I can't believe it's on streaming already. That's why I picked it so fast, because I was like, I just saw this movie August. What a crazy turnaround.
That is one of the quickest turnarounds I've seen from theater to streaming. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I should have looked it up beforehand, box office numbers, but I thought it did pretty well box office-wise, but maybe that was just the plan all along, because usually movies get dumped on streaming because they're not, quick, because they're not doing so good. And like The Flash, it came also pretty fast on streaming, but that was just because it did so bad, when it was in theaters.
That's because Ezra Miller is like a cancer.
Yeah, that too. But still, I'm surprised this shit, came on streaming so fast. But 173 million on I think it's 100. I'll find it in a second. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. So what are your first thoughts on this movie? Because this is your first time watching it. I saw it in theaters. I watched it one more time when it was released on digital right before streaming, and then again on streaming. So 3 times.
Yeah, I watched it. I watched it 3 times since last week.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Dude, what are my initial thoughts? I mean, it is arguably it's one of the better turtle stories. I think
it's got the highest rating on all like review stuff than any other turtle ever.
Here's what I remember from like the marketing and everything, and just from the internet in general. The internet had a big problem with April O'Neil being like a thick girl, and them changing her race.
Yeah, making her a person of color.
Who cares?
Yeah, I thought April O'Neil was great. I'm just saying.
Puke girl?
Yeah.
She's awesome. Or vomit girl?
No, it's puke girl. April O. Puke. I remember saying on the locker.
Bro, like... I thought the character was great. So I don't buy into these like weird sort of stereotype kind of norms. Just because the character's been one way
Yeah.
traditionally doesn't mean you can't play it a different way. Even when they went with a totally different
Oh no, Ben Johnson has. Oh, you're back. You froze for a sec.
oh, did I? Uh-oh. Not on my end, baby. I'm looking good over here. But that's the thing. There's a thing called artistic license, and
Yeah.
you're never always going to be able to find like the perfect match for everything, you know?
But imagine a
So-
world where we've gone from fucking Megan Fox to then like this April. Like what a fucking like drastic change.
And what about the lady from the first movies? I can't
Yeah.
remember her name
Oh,
to save
she
my
was
life.
awesome. Yeah, but she was great in the first movie.
With that curly red hair, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Nobody's ever had that red bob
No.
and the real like
Yeah.
yellow ass suit.
And the
Nobody's
jumpsuit,
done
no.
that. This
Yeah.
is arguably this is the closest we've gotten to that with April.
True. And I just like April because I feel like she has a real purpose in this movie. I mean, I think so also in the '90s movie, but like the cartoon we just watched, like she was cool, but like I feel like she had a lot more going on in this movie, a lot more depth of her also having something to prove in herself, rather than just being just this random reporter running around getting kidnapped.
I like the fact that everybody is a teenager in it. I like
Also
that
true.
April is a teenager.
I don't think I've ever watched Ninja Turtles where they've ever been teenagers. Like, have they ever been? I think they mentioned in the cartoon we were watching it that they were teenagers, but I don't like. Literally, I've never watched Ninja Turtles once and thought about them being a teenager. Like the name just kind of meant nothing to me as a kid, to be honest.
It could have just been Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
Which is or Mutant Ninja Turtles is what it could have been. Like teenage before this actually felt like just a selling point.
Yeah, that's probably exactly what it was.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Because this is one of the first times you really see them, apart from in like the live action movies or whatever, when they show the backstory of them like getting larger.
Yeah.
And then doing their fucking training montages and everything. This is the first time you've actually seen them struggle with youth, right?
Yeah. I mean, they want to go to high school.
They want to go because they want to be normal kids.
Yeah.
They just want to be normal kids. And who doesn't? Like, that's another thing that I think this movie does really, really well. I noticed too, and we can get into it a little later on, they dip a lot into, I guess, other Paramount properties. So they're like, they reference Ferris Bueller,
Oh,
right?
They do. Yeah, I love that scene, man, because they're like, oh, let's go catch a movie in Brooklyn. Because that's the thing that I mean, I've never seen that exact spot in my life, but that's the thing that happened. I mean, you can go to this like drive-in movie theater by the water, and outside they do that shit all the time. So I love that the Turtles just going over, hanging out on the rooftop, watching like an outside movie.
And I bet you're sitting there like in your apartment going like they're on my roof right now. Like
well, I was
just in
watching
the back
it
of your head.
with Chili Beans, friend of the show, and they have the Verrazano Bridge, and we both kind of grew up around there. So like, there it is. That's the Verrazano. The Turtles were over there in Bay Ridge.
I really think that in this movie too, in particular, like New York has always been sort of a character.
Yeah.
In the turtle stuff, like the city itself, like you can't make reference.
Especially in the first '90s movie too. Like New York felt like
a
character in that movie.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. In the first one, it does because, but that's the other thing about that is the setting. Like this hits it hard.
Well, I think what makes it better with the animation too, right? I mean, you're filming in New York. You know, you don't have. It's expensive. I mean, it just is. You know, that's why I have movies that are like taking place in New York, shoot in Toronto. You know, so animation wise, like then they can go on the Verrazano all they fucking want. You know,
they can go everywhere.
Yeah,
they can't hit the skyline unless they pay for it. Yeah. I know that.
Which actually, now I think about it, we don't really see the skyline very often, except for some bridge shots. You know.
Yeah. Bridges you might not have to pay for, but that iconic New York skyline. You
no
got
Freedom Tower, at least I don't remember.
Yeah, that. But like but that was really charming to see the city sort of play out that way, and the characters that exist in the streets, the other people, you get a feel for where they are and why they want to explore.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I want to jump all the way to the end, but what I love about the new, like, it's a thing in movies where it's like if you really want like your hero to feel like a real New Yorker, New York City has to like come together at the end of the movie to like help the hero like fight, like all the Spider-Man movies, you know?
Yup.
And they do like the same thing in this movie where New York City, like the people come together.
I find that to be a desperately charming part of any like outsider movie, right? We talk about trauma too much. I think they should be paying us, but that's
should be paying a lot of
that's
people
for
a lot.
That's
of
also for a lot of stuff. That's also one of the charming parts about the original Toxic Avenger is the entire town comes together at the end when Toxie's surrounded by the army. You know what I mean? All of a sudden, the townspeople come out, the ice cream guy and the little kids and all of that. They come and they stand in front of him so he doesn't get blasted away. But not to get too far. So first impressions, James.
Yeah, first impressions.
I love it. I think the style of this in general
so good.
is.
We talked about it a bunch of times. It's kind of a thing now with like, because we've watched, between Spider-Verse, Mitchell's vs. the Machines, Arcane, and like this. There's probably some other stuff that I just haven't seen, but I love this idea of what's going on now, where it's like this 3D but 2D style to it, and I think it adds this new depth to animation that like I feel like this is what technology should have been the whole time when we were getting into 3D stuff.
There was a point, and I think it's. Oh my God, it's fairly early on. There are a couple of points where they'll hit like this almost like perfectly painted cell of like say the sewer grate, right?
Yeah.
And then they'll pan up and that feels like super traditional 2D, like you could see it in a fancy cartoon. But then when they pan up, it's this like literal like claymation fucking movement to the animation that's coming at you. The mix, the blend, everything in this is. What I know,
because I've learned this about animation. So cartoons, so normal movies, right, shot 24 frames per second.
Right.
So you're moving pretty much every frame is basically a different image. But with animation, what I learned is that they move on twos. So every 2 frames is the same image. Now, what they've been doing with Spider-Verse, where they developed, was that all the characters are going to move on 2s, but the camera is still 3D. It moves like a normal camera, and same thing with like stuff around them, like the world, how they're going to move. So that's what creates that kind of like jittery kind of motion to it, makes it still feel 2D at times because they're kind of moving them on 2s, comparable to normal 3D animation, like Pixar, for instance, would all be normal 24 frames per second.
That's bananas. Okay. Yeah, that's technical shit I have no idea about. That's awesome.
What I learned recently, trying to make a cartoon once. But yeah, and that's why like I love when you see them, that's why they're all like jittery when they're like kind of moving and like, and you said Spider-Verse did it, and I know it adds to this 2D element because it also has this like, I don't know, sense of like reminder of like, oh, this is a cartoon, and you're like, oh wait, no, this is 3D. It kind of like fucks with your brain of, because you have one way you see a cartoon or a 3D thing, and then you see something like this, it's like, I don't know, just fucks with you in a good way.
No, dude, entirely. Like it I can see what you're saying where it's sort of like switches your perception over, but it also, I feel like, kind of brings you more into.
Yeah. I mean, for me too, personally. I mean, I love technology, like, for better or worse. 3D is awesome in a lot of great ways. But like my heart of hearts is always 2D animation. Like that's the shows that we would talk about Gendy not too long ago. I mean, like watching that shit, that's what I want mostly. So when I see shit like this, it just like brings me back, and it's like, oh, I want everything to be this, everything.
Because of how well it's
Yeah.
executed. Like, that's the other thing. You
And-
can tell these people cared.
And I want to point out too, recently, I don't know if you probably have. So like, about the Marvel VFX artist kind of drama, right?
No, fill me in. What?
So there's a lot of, and it's also, it leads into the Flash too. So basically all these, it might go into the bigger conversation, what's even happening now at strikes, but these studios, basically the way they're doing it, so like VFX houses are all independent, right? And then a studio is now bidding VFX houses against each other to do a certain movie. So now they're like, a VFX house has to underbid another company to get a job, and then they have to work twice as hard, basically, to like. That's why mostly Marvel and the Flash CG sucks, because they're literally doing it in weeks' time, and like not putting any, because he's not like these CG artists are bad. It's just the time frame and being forced to work all these kind of hours and stuff. And what this movie did, which is crazy, is that Seth Rogen actually, like, there's a certain, I think he said I can't remember the full story, but it was like he wanted to change a bunch of shit. And instead of doing what Marvel would do and be like, no, you're just changing it, we already paid you, whatever, he got the studio to like pay them more overtime to like fix a lot of the animations and change the movie a lot. And which I think is pretty commendable, and still somehow keep it under budget. I read right here, only made for 70 mil, which is, Marvel spends like hundreds of millions of dollars.
Wow. That's nutty, dude. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, hundreds of millions, but think about, you're saving on location fees, you're saving on whatever, the cost differential for something like this, as long as you're paying the people who are actually creating like your images for you, you're good to go.
Yeah, it says here in Variety, Seth Rogen did not want TMNT animators overworked or suffering. There's also Spider-Verse too, actually got into a lot of heat also, that they were complaining about being constantly overworked and not paid fairly for the hours and hours of, because we see that movie. I mean, that shit's insane. He said did not want this movie to become their entire lives. So it's like, yeah, and look at the product. I mean, it fucking shows for itself. So, sometimes if you care about the people who work for you, it kind of pays itself off.
Only sometimes. You don't always have to break everybody's spirit.
Exactly. Not all the time. I mean, spirits will be broken, I think, regardless. But if you just like, help your friends out a bit.
Which is largely what I think this movie is also about. As much as it's about like discovering yourself, it's also about helping in general.
Yeah, and that's ultimately why I love too, because another cool thing Seth Rogen did was that to show the friendship between, or the brotherhood or whatever between the turtles, was that for what most movies don't do is have all the turtles record together.
Yes,
which is a rare thing.
And so we talked a little bit about that. I can't remember if it was like in the episode or not, but you had mentioned to me that they weren't necessarily getting the feeling that they needed from them in the room in the beginning, just saying the lines. And then they had the kids like sit around and they just caught them chopping it up at lunch.
So this just comes from an interview from Seth Rogen where he just was like, yeah, we have a script that exists. But he said at a certain point, the kids all read the script and they did the lines, but he said he hated it. He couldn't figure out why he didn't like it because they're all good actors or whatever. And he said when there would be a lunch, the kids would all just be like fucking with each other and just like busting each other's balls and like, doing normal teenage shit. And then he was like, you guys just need to say all that on the microphone, and just basically throughout the script from there, all the dialogue. And so most of the shit's improvised, in which that's why I think the Turtles feel like such a family together.
To me, one of the best parts is so, I mean, we'll talk a little bit about it. It's what is it? The Turtles, we find out that Baxter Stockman once again has created a thing, right? Like he's made an actual mutant this time. Blah blah blah.
Yeah, we got that cold open. I think it's played by Carl Esposito, right? Is that how you say his name? The guy from Breaking Bad.
Yep. And you've got them, the baddies, looking for the mutant, and that's sort of like the cold open. They're trying to figure this out. They want to catch that and whatever helped create it. And then we cut to the Turtles, who are out,
like escapes, whatever. The ooze gets down the sewer.
Well, no, this is past the cold open. The Turtles are out flipping. This is when they're in Brooklyn. We're not talking about their creation.
But didn't we see in the cold open like the tube like drop off somewhere in the beginning?
Oh yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah. Okay. See, I missed shit. I watched it 3 times. I missed shit.
But yeah, but then they're out flipping, and that's when they go hang around. They have to go pick up groceries for Splinter, and they had to get the party size.
The party size bag of Doritos. Yeah. Yes. And they see the movie. They come back, and then they get grounded for a month because
Leo ratted them out.
One of the best lines comes up when they're back up top and they've gotten out. So that's where we pick back up, is they're back out again.
Yeah.
And it's when they're asking him, how does it feel to have his head so far up Splinter's butt? And then I think it's Michelangelo's like, what does it smell like up there?
See, I thought you were gonna say when they yelled at Leo, they said that he ratted him out. And then Splinter's like, don't say that word that way.
Don't use that word that way. I did think that was pretty fucking funny, too.
Yeah,
I thought that was...
Shout out to fucking Jackie Chan for playing Splinter, man. It's amazing. And I'm a big-time Jackie Chan fan. Were you a Jackie Chan fan?
Rumble in the Bronx, baby. Yeah. Yes.
We never talked about Jackie Chan, really, so I don't know your scope of... Jackie Chan.
There was I think there's a Jackie Chan cartoon too that we should watch at some point.
Oh yeah, dude, I fucking love that show, man.
Yeah. But no, yes, I'm a Jackie Chan fan. How can you not?
Yeah.
He does all of his own stunts.
Yeah,
like,
I've been on a little bit of a Jackie
amazing.
Chan kick too, like unrelated to this. I've just watching a bunch of Jackie Chan shit, so I'm
very nice.
I love it, man. Jackie Chan hits my heart as a kid. I remember just watching Rumble in the Bronx. You know, with me, my dad's taking me to the movies a lot. So I've seen all 3 Rush Hours in theaters, also with my dad.
Nice.
I think that was kind of the start of my action movie kind of love too. And also so it brings me back into this Splinter, but I always knew how like funny Jackie Chan was, but now with like rewatching a lot of movies recently, like he's hilarious. I mean, he is like this kung fu Buster Keaton, Charlie Chaplin kind of, like literally all his fights and all his bits like are just hilarious.
Dude, 110%.
Like
110%.
Like a movie I've seen. I mean, I haven't watched it in a long time, but as a kid, I watched it hundreds of times probably. Was Shanghai Noon, you know, the Owen Wilson Jackie Chan movie, and there's a fight scene. I've only just because of watching it recently, just that scene, I didn't realize that Jackie Chan was doing Singing in the Rain the whole time during the fight. Like he is doing the whole dance with the umbrella, also like fighting these dudes at the same time, which is hilarious, and that's amazing. Like the coordination for that is fucked up. That's crazy.
It showcases a lot of stuff. Like a lot of stuff, not just like a technical sort of proficiency, right? But when you get into an homage on that level of like, we're going to do Singing in the Rain, but we're also going to be kicking asses left and right. Like the choreography that goes into it, just the structure, the setup, the everything to make sure you can pull it off. Like that goes by so many people's heads. Do you know what I mean? Exactly, it goes past so many people.
And now to like, so he's such a like, I'm going to say physical comedian. And then now bringing him into Turtles, which is, you know, I I know he did some voiceover work. I think Kung Fu Panda he did a bunch of voiceover work. But this is like, at least for me, it's the first time I'm really just listening to Jackie just be a voiceover guy, and he's so good. Like he's also like for like not really doing like the stereotypical like Asian voice too. You know what I mean? Like like it just Splinter feels like this. He feels like Splinter. And I don't feel like I'm listening to Jackie Chan, which is all to Jackie Chan for doing all that and hitting the certain beats and the jokes that he hits. You know, the timing of it. It's
something special, right? It really is, because every Splinter up until now has been this wizened old, like very old.
Every Splinter. Like I don't think, every Splinter's just been this, quiet, kind of just wise old, like, no, don't do that.
And these very thick Asian accents that arguably some are Japanese, some are nondescript Asian.
Yeah.
Like it's not always been great for Splinter as far as that goes. But at this point in time, the voice feels like you can tell there's an accent there, but at the same time it also feels like Americanized, and it blends into whatever else is happening in New York. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then when they dip into the backstory, this time I'll tell you, okay, this time I'm telling you the long version. I'll tell you the
he was
long
like talking about how cute he was, like, look at me, look how cute I was. No, I had no friends.
I had no friends. I had no friends. I had one friend, Kevin. He was a cockroach, but I eat him. like what? I also love the fact that he's like looking for love. Do you think there are any other mutant women out there to love me? There's not. I look every day.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get to that part too later, which is amazing. But so when I first watched this movie, I didn't know how I felt about the backstory. I mean, in my brain, the Turtles always have the same backstory. I mean, they get fucking soaked in their ooze. Splinter was either trained by a Japanese man, or he is a Japanese man, and that's how they like learn all their kung fu and stuff and karate, become ninjas. But I love it. So now seeing it, where it's like, oh, they just like Splinter just ended up being smart because he's like in the ooze, and then watched a bunch of kung fu movies and then like taught him. But rewatching it, I kind of love it more, to be honest.
So, and I felt the same way when I first watched it. I was like, what in the hell is this? This is not right. I felt slightly betrayed.
Yeah.
Like slightly fucking betrayed. But the second time I watched it, third time I watched it, literally right before we started up while I was eating dinner, I watched it a third time, and I love that montage.
It's so good, yeah. It has a couple of Jackie Chan movies in it too.
Of course it does.
Yeah.
Why would it not?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Why would it not? And I think the blend between the live action, particularly like in this moment, I think it helps sort of ground the movie in reality, like a little bit more.
And especially, let's say he was 20. So let's say the Turtles are teenagers, right? So they're 16 and he met them when he was 20. So he must have been like a late teen, or basically grew up in the 90s as a rat, whatever. And I mean, he would be a martial arts fan. You know what I mean? I mean, you're also like an older person from the 90s. I mean, the 90s was all about ninjas and martial arts.
Martial arts were everywhere, especially from like mid 80s through, I would say probably like 97, 98, somewhere in there. Because do you remember like Three Ninjas?
Hell yeah. Actually, fuck, I wish my cousin was still in this chat right now. We would meet my cousin Connor here in this chat, and my other cousin Kevin. We were the Three Ninjas. That was amazing. Our thing.
Absolutely amazing. Chuck Norris was still everywhere. You know what I mean?
Walker, Texas Ranger.
Huh?
Walker, Texas Ranger.
Walker, Texas Ranger. ninjas and karate and martial
Yeah.
arts were huge. So yeah, of course, that's where Splinter's gonna go when he goes to teach his turtle babies about this, right?
Yeah.
Like it makes sense. I actually really like the fact that they kind of ditched the human element to it. And again, it's because I don't know how to put it, dude. I don't know how to put it. Like it, apart from just grounding it more in reality, the fact that they ditched the like, oh, there was a person that had to touch, all of this stuff. When you take that away, it helps in the in sort of imbibing the or imbuing the creatures with their humanity.
Yeah.
So everything they learn as they go is like a person coming to. So like when Splinter takes up his turtle babies up to the street for the first time, and that lady's like, "It's a rat man!" And everybody freaks out. Like, he knew something not great was going to happen, but he did it anyway
Well, I mean, he's
because
also
he
a rat
loved his
in New York
kids.
City, and people are rats are horrible in New York City. So if I was a rat, I wouldn't like people even before that. But yeah, but I will say, I don't think New York City people would react that way. Not that they would be loving. I just don't think anyone would bat an eye in Times Square. Like, I don't think anyone would react like at all. Like, people would just keep walking. They were like, "All right, that's weird. Where's my train?"
As long as it doesn't touch me, I'm fine.
Yeah.
As
Like, I
long as
literally
it-
saw a video today of this person in very good alien makeup. Like, just like bald. Like, it wasn't like anything crazy or kooky. It was just a person like basically painted gray with like a bald, like kind of alien face on it. But it looked naturally just, I don't know, just looked weird. But the video was someone taking it on the subway, but nobody else was reacting on the subway. Everybody was just sitting there, either on their phone or just waiting for their next stop. So I don't think people would react like that in New York so much.
I mean, you're probably not going to get the reaction you want walking out in public like that. Because I think there's a part of you that's looking for a reaction if you did. But I promise you, you will be the talk of like 50 people's conversations that night. Dude, I saw the craziest shit on the train today. Big giant fucking alien. What'd you do?
Sure,
fucking
people will talk
nothing.
about it later, but now they'd be screaming like, "Get him!"
I looked at my fucking phone. That's what I did because I don't know what that is. I don't know what disease it got.
And also, I love that young Splinter also like grew a mustache at a certain point. Like,
And a weird kind of afro.
yeah.
Yeah, like young Splinter is a Splinter I could hang out with.
Yeah.
You know, like early 30s Splinter.
Yeah.
Done. It's amazing.
And I
I'm
think
there
that also
for it.
like feeds a lot into the music of this because it's like this movie has this like 90s the whole thing feels like like 90s nostalgia, but not 90s nostalgia. You know what I mean? It's not like Stranger Things in a sense of like, here's the 80s in your face about it. But it's almost like here's a modern kind of culture, but then this like kind of 90s like through line, I guess, or like hints or sprinkles.
So the best way I could put it is it's like when you're watching a movie and it's set in today's time, but then or like, let's say you're watching a 90s movie, but every song on the soundtrack is like 60s music because that's what was still on the radio stations at the time. That's what was still sort of pumping in your parents' houses. That's what brings you back to home. Trent Reznor did the score for this. Unreal. Absolutely
so good.
Unreal.
I listen to the soundtrack all the time.
Bro, it feels like a Nine Inch Nails record. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like at one point, I could have swore to God I heard Closer in there, and I was like, "Oh, are we gonna hear I wanna fuck you like an animal at some point? Is that gonna be popping in?" I felt like a bunch of what is it? What's the one? Head Like a Hole. You can
Well, it had that
feel
one
like
song where it's like, what's going on?
oh
Yeah.
what's up by Four Non
Yeah.
Blondes. Dude, that okay. So real quick, like sidetrack with you. Here's the thing. Side quest.
Okay.
I miss Leo. Big side quest. Have you heard any of the new Dolly Parton record?
No, not at all.
Dude, you have to. You have to. It's called Rock and Roll, and it's on your Spotify, or at least like 6 songs are. She's slowly releasing singles off of it. But Dolly at nearish 80, if not 80, is doing like straight up rock and roll fucking covers, and she does What's Going On and or
that's cool.
What's Up. It's sick. It is sick. She's got a song with fucking Rob Halford from Judas Priest.
Damn. All right.
Yeah, they do a song called Bygones. It is.
Is it all covers or originals? Or
all
two?
covers.
Oh, cool.
All straight up covers. And dude, they are good. They are so fucking good.
I have to definitely check it out.
But that Four Non Blonde song, yeah. And I'm a little iffy about the techno version that it goes into, but whatever. That tells you how I feel about that.
I just love a lot of the
just-
90s hip hop in there. I mean, it's got fucking Tribe Called Quest in it, which blows my mind. That's just in a kids movie.
Okay, so I see that, I hear that, but I'm gonna raise you one. That the montage when they first go out to beat up and figure out who how to get to Superfly and
Yeah.
what's going on, which we haven't even talked about
Oh,
the big bad.
Superfly,
That's
yeah.
Ice Cube.
Well, he comes in a little bit later, so we're
Little bit.
working up to it.
A little bit. We'll be here 10 hours if we don't mention his name. But fucking when they do that No Diggity montage,
Yeah.
I
No diggity.
best part of the movie.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, that like when they come into their own and they realize, oh, we need to be heroes so people like us, and they go into that and it's No Diggity just kind of underneath, and it's a smooth fucking like mellow flow, and then it's just turtles whooping ass. It's so good, James. So good. When Raphael's in the mattress store, right? And he goes jumping from mattress to mattress to mattress, and then you get that slow-mo of him with that elbow and that fucking psychotic grin on his face.
Yeah.
What?
No, I love that montage. I love that you get to see each of them to kind of do something.
Each of them, every time they kick in the door, a different one of them is leading the pack.
Yeah.
Did you notice that? Every time
yeah,
they kick in a
exactly,
door, a different one is leading the pack. So yeah, you get to see them all sort of in their element, all kind of in charge, doing their thing.
So yeah,
I love it.
So let's get into some Superfly though. So he's the big bad. So I will say too, off the bat, like it was initially why I was a little apprehensive. I mean, I was going to see this movie regardless in theaters because I love the Turtles, but I was a little apprehensive because I don't know. Shredder is my villain. Do you know what I mean? Shredder is the guy, but he so having a different villain was weird to me, and even watching it, I was like, I don't know how I feel about Superfly, but I mean, Superfly is awesome. I love his intro, and he breaks into when they're driving. He goes, 6 a.m, please at my door, and he like breaks in the fucking car.
Yes, it is. like it's made for people our age,
and
it
his
really
intro,
is.
right when Rocksteady and Bebop have like the boombox and like the Superfly song plays as he's like walking out of his car.
My God, and to see Bebop and Rocksteady like as the first kind of baddies that you see, right?
Do you know who
like
voices them?
as the sidekicks.
Do you know who voices
Amazing.
them? Do you know who the voices are?
No, who?
John Cena and Seth Rogen.
Of course they are.
I forget which is which, but yeah, I don't know. It was a pretty awesome duo right there.
That of course that's the case.
Yeah.
Of course that's the case.
But yeah, but
I-
also Ice-T as fucking Ice Cube.
Superfly.
Ice Cube as fucking Superfly is amazing.
Ice-T as Superfly would have been a totally different movie.
Yeah.
Would have been a totally
movie.
different movie.
Hey, he acts. He could have been there.
No, he could have. He could have. I'm just talking about the timbre and the
The
voice. You
voice,
know what
yeah,
I
it's
mean?
so
It would have
different.
been a different flow, a different, entirely different style.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna attempt to do that voice.
Wow, yeah. In a different headspace, I probably could. I just remember a bunch of old Harmontowns, Dan doing it a lot, and it would be Ice-T reading Dungeons and Dragons books.
That's pretty fucking
and,
hilarious. Have you ever
That
seen
brought me a lot of joy.
Leprechaun Back to the Hood?
Of course, yes.
Yeah, because Ice-T is like the villain of that movie. It's pretty great.
Yes. Yes. Like Ice-T can act his ass off too, but I mean, I'm just saying, Superfly would have been an entirely different character.
But Ice Cube was awesome though,
Amazing,
and that feeds into
Amazing.
the '90s of it. You know what I mean? Especially with the soundtrack. Like, oh, if we get Ice Cube in it, that just adds a little bit to that. You know what I mean?
They blended so much from 30 years ago.
I know, but it makes it fresh. I mean, we just said it, but like that's why like it somehow makes the '90s feel fresh in a way that's not. Here's the '90s in your face. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're listening
Right.
to like whatever they're listening to or watching a certain thing or wearing whatever. It's like it's just kind of like I don't know. It's just part of the culture, I guess.
It really is. It really, really is, and it's a very good part. It's a part that I don't know, dude. It makes you and less even nostalgic, because that's the thing. Like when you would watch do you remember watching Wonder Years as a kid?
Vaguely, but yes.
Okay. So Wonder Years was a show intended to
Was
make
that
you
Ben
feel
Savage?
nostalgic for the 60s.
Was that Ben Savage? Was the actor?
Fred
Fred
Savage.
Fred Savage. Okay.
Yeah, his older brother who directs It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia now,
Yeah.
which is still one of the craziest things to me, is that he's in bed with the Sunny guys, but a hell of a producer and a hell of a director in his own
I
right,
didn't know
Fred
that at all.
Savage. Yeah. Oh yeah. Dude, that's where he
I
went.
just know him from the
He'll-
Wonder Years and Princess Diaries.
Wait, say that again?
The Wonder Years and the Princess Diaries.
And my what is it? Little Monster with Howie Mandel.
Oh shit, that's right.
Yeah,
I forgot
yeah,
about
yeah.
that movie.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I had
Yes.
no idea he was directing. I mean, that's sick.
No, he's directing, he's producing, he's done a
Oh, did you
shitload
ever
of
see?
stuff.
They did like for some reason re-released Deadpool 2 as like PG-13. Do you ever like catch that at all? Because what
Why
they did,
would I watch the PG-13
but like, but
version?
here's what they did though that was hilarious. They cut the movie like Princess Diaries, where Deadpool like kidnaps Fred Savage, and he's like reading the story to Fred Savage. Like it's like the same room, you know, and like Deadpool is dressed like the grandpa in it and shit. So watch all those.
Oh,
bits.
you keep saying the Princess Diary. It's the Princess Bride.
Princess Bride. I'm thinking of fucking this. You know me. I don't get fucking like names right. I probably said like 4 names wrong already.
I was so confused for a second. I was like, Fred Savage ain't have shit to do with
I think that's Anne
with the
Hathaway. I don't even remember what the Princess
Diaries.
Diaries is. I think that's the Anne Hathaway movie. I don't say
It
names
is?
right. I need like someone to like feed me names. You know, I need like some sort of like screen next to me that I can just pop names so I can remember them.
You need to invest in that like Google Glass. You know what I mean? And then you can just like look with your eyes through your Google Glass the entire time. Sorry, I had to get up to open the door for the dog. She was starting to bark, so I wanted her to go outside.
Yeah, the Princess Bride though.
Princess Bride.
Yeah, so they did like a Deadpool thing where Deadpool was reading like the grandpa from the Princess Bride. It's pretty funny. It's worth watching those bits. Whatever whatever.
I'll
else.
get like a mashup of those for
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I'll get a mashup of those.
Yeah,
But back to
yeah.
back to your back to your point earlier though about the kids and being natural, and it's after that sort of first big montage, the no diggity thing, where they're with April again, and she basically they ask her if she recorded all that, and she's like, "You guys are basically she." In a nutshell, she says, "You guys are embarrassing."
Yeah, she's like, I'm not gonna record everything you do.
Because most
And
of
that's
it's
when they have their
dumb.
little moment where they're just like bacon, egg, and cheese, bacon, egg, and cheese.
That to me is one of the funniest fucking things in the movie too.
Yeah.
Because it's deeply embarrassing. It's very weird. And in that moment you're like, oh, they're idiot children.
And then she like calls them out for it, and they like kind of pause for a second, and then they just go back to like doing it all
Bacon,
over
egg,
again.
and cheese. So good. I love it. I love it.
And to get into, I guess, the turtles too. Like we talked about this last week, like our favorite turtles. But we mentioned a lot that like Leo was kind of always like, he's like, I mean, he's both our like kind of least favorites. And when I think about Leo and all the other incarnations, I mean, he was always a very stoic, kind of just like square, almost Captain America like leader. And this movie, I felt was finally like Leo got some justice in a way. And
Dude,
like there's a lot of like depth to him more than there was before.
They added some stuff for Leo this time around, and you're right. It's not only giving like a level of humanity to a turtle, but you see the pains of leadership, right?
Yeah.
Because he wants to be a good kid. He wants to do the right thing by his dad, and that's why he narcs out his brothers. Oh, well, the guys I tried to talk him out of it, and he's like throwing them straight under the bus. But he always goes with them because in his heart, he wants the same thing.
Yeah.
I think he really does. He's conflicted.
Yeah, because he still wants to be a teenager too. And the fact that he's the horny one. Like I always, to me, Michelangelo is always the horny one. If anyone was going to be the horny one.
Well, but see, okay. So, and this is also like a little bit of a point of conflict. Donatello is usually the one that has the tendency to like fall in love too.
Yeah.
The nerd is more the one who like falls in love and kind of chases around April.
Yeah.
At least that's what I remember.
No, I mean, I see that too. For me, like,
Yeah.
I mean, I always imagine Michelangelo's the more hornier.
Well, he's the
party
outright horny one,
Yeah.
but the one who actually carries like
the one
the
with the
notion
fall in
of
love.
what is love? I want to be loved.
Yeah.
That is more
True.
Donatello. I dug the fact that they I dug the fact that they put that on Leo. I really love that he's so quick to give up on the notion of being the goody to like, well, we have to help this girl. We have to help this pretty lady, this strong, independent, beautiful woman.
First throw the ninja star into her helmet, and like her bike gets stolen or whatever, and they're just like, all right, let's go. And Leo's like, no, we gotta go help her. It's like, why? It's not our problem. It's not our bike.
This intriguing, this intriguing, charming, beautiful woman. We have to go help her. Thank you. Goodbye.
And yeah, so I love there's more depth to Leo than I think there was before, and he learns to be a leader in a way that feels natural, and not like in a cheesy way.
It's not forced, and it's not overly goody. You can see that, like, he also has some desires. He also has some things that he wants to do.
Well, I think that feeds into
love.
all the Turtles too, because we also talked about it in the last Turtles episode. I mean, they even kind of talk about it in the episode of like, well, why? Like in the OG one, it's like, why do we have to do this? Well, who else is gonna do it? You know what I mean? Of like saving the world. But these Turtles actually have like a purpose of like, oh, we just want to be teenagers. We just want to go to school. And then there's this conflict that's in their way that's stopping them. Rather than just
they're
being like,
mutants.
yeah.
And they can't, and they're like, if we can get past the fact that we are freaks of nature, then we can just go on to have a normal existence.
Yeah.
And for us to get past the fact that we are freaks of nature, we have to be heroes. It makes so much more sense. And the idea and the notion of like wanting to be accepted is a genuine teenage problem.
Yeah.
Like they are hitting things on the head in this that are obviously like, it's very, very intentional, but it's also, it's quite charming to see in the fact that it's the reluctance to be the hero until how can it benefit me? How can it benefit our lives and make it better? It's not just because I get a little fed up with that. I get a little tired of it.
Yeah.
I get tired of the hero seeking vengeance for, people fallen. Okay.
Yeah.
We've seen that story 1,000 times. I get tired of the I'm just so pure, I'm so good, this is my calling, this is what I do.
Yeah,
I get tired of that. The idea that it's kids coming of age and they're like, we just want to be normal. And the only way to be normal is to be heroes.
Yeah, and and normal turtle shit, right? I mean, even in the movie, even the cartoon, like their point of conflict too usually comes from either April being kidnapped, Splinter being kidnapped, and none of that happens in this movie.
None of it. And that's the other part. Like, April's not a ploy. Splinter's not a ploy.
Yeah.
It's a real coming of age story. It's good.
And
it's good.
And I want to talk too about Donatello because, like I said, he was also one of my least favorite turtles that I really enjoyed in this movie. Because for one, I love how much he gives his other brother shit. For me too, like Donatello always felt like the one who's getting all the shit. I would think the turtles, he's the one who's gonna get bullied the most for being a nerd, and he's the one also just kind of throwing shade at like Leonardo and stuff like that all the time.
Absolutely. You mean Leo
Nardo? Yeah, Nardo.
So, and yeah, you're absolutely right. Donatello, traditionally, because he's a dork, he's already got all his machines. They allude to that in the greatest way possible in this, right? Because they don't immediately make him like some kind of tech wizard.
Yeah.
They don't. Pardon me. Fuck, I got up early this morning. They don't immediately make him, super knowledgeable, whatever. But they give him props in the greatest way.
Yeah.
He's got like his fucking Walkman on. He's got his headphones. He's got like phones and calculators. He's got all of that shit together.
And references. He's the one who references anything. So clearly he's also a nerd in that, right? He's just watching a lot of pop culture anime.
He is bought into it. And then again, to fast forward to the end of the movie, when he's going like live on his socials and he's like, I found my people. And it's all the dorks down in their computers.
Yeah.
Like, they are setting this up for, if they play it right, like a tremendous sequel. Yeah. Like, honest to God.
And there's a moment too that like really, I don't know, it doesn't. I don't want to say resonates with me because it doesn't. But what I find touching is when they first go to the high school, right? And they're seeing like the graffiti on the lockers and shit. And then Donatello sees some like Attack on Titan thing written on there, and he says like, at first I was like, oh, that's so. I mean, I was like, I really don't like that anime, but whatever. So normally I was like, oh, just a dumb Attack on Titan reference, so stupid. But then he says something of like, man, this, like the 3 seconds of, I don't even know this person, but they've already given me way more than anyone has ever given me before, or something like that. And
that
I was
hits,
like, yeah.
That hits so hard, doesn't it?
Yeah. That's how I feel about like, I don't know, anything that kind of brought us together as a crew, or just like, anything that like part of this show. You know what I mean? Because there's like, we don't even, someone can show us a cartoon that we don't even know them, and then we're ready to like have this connection better than I could have with anybody else.
It's one of those things where I look at, I think it's a tie that binds metalheads in particular.
Yeah.
Like if you're walking down the street and you see somebody in a band shirt, like they have already told you more in the time it's taken you to process that T-shirt than anything else,
Yeah.
right?
I feel the same way about wrestling fans.
Yes, entirely. If you go out and throw that degeneration suck it from across a room at somebody and they get it, or if you see a wrestling fan in a shirt and you throw that out there at them and they reciprocate,
Like I saw a guy a couple months ago, and there's a bunch of like Roman Reigns gear. So I just saw him pass by me. I was like, Tribal Chief, the one, and he was just like, the one, and then we just like, just kept walking. We didn't like stop or nothing, but just having that moment right there was great.
You don't need to. At the airport, I like to wear my green Jello shirt at the airport because there is always at least one raggedy punk that's like, green Jello sucks, from across the airport.
Yeah.
And I love it. It makes me happy.
You feel like you're with your people, and it's not in a way that's like annoying, I guess, because they're like, I guess they may get to a deeper conversation, kind of, I guess, off topic a bit, but there's this idea of fandom that I also hate. These, like, in wrestling terms, like marks, you know what I mean? That are just like, people are so overbearing that it's actually like annoying me. But then it's like, when you just have a shirt or something, then you can just like, I don't know, you have that connection with someone in that way. It feels super nice. Like, on Flapjacks, there's this guy Forrest, Troma fan. You met him at I'm sure you met him at Troma Dance this year. He donated parts to the movie. He had a Batman Returns shirt on. I never see that anywhere. And I was like, dude, Batman Returns. And then we just like, best Michael Keaton one. We're like, we just like high-fived over it, whatever. Like that kind of moments. I love that kind of shit.
And that guy, I ended up having like a larger conversation with him. Wonderful guy, and has so much more to say outside of Batman Returns.
Yeah,
that
dude is,
do you know what I mean?
Encyclopedia of film knowledge, an encyclopedia.
It's nutty. But big shout out to Forrest, absolutely. But it's those folks that when you do pop on a thing that they've got on or whatever it might be, that then all of a sudden pull you into like a 40-minute conversation that you never wanted to have. You just wanted to say, I see you. You know what I mean? Like I feel where you're coming from. That's a thing that that I find myself sometimes locked into, never having wanted to get into that. But a nice little head nod, and maybe you throw your goat, or you a green Jello sucks from across a room, and then you just keep going on about your business. It's perfect.
And that's what brings back to Turtles. I mean, I love that little moment so much with Donnie, because it's just like, oh, the Turtles feel that way too about things. Like, that's pretty cool, you know?
It's well, but they also haven't been out. I mean, they have, but they haven't really experienced like that up close level of their peers also, right? Because everything they still have to do is under darkness because of the...
And think of the places they've gone, right? I mean, it's only rooftops, grocery stores, pizza stores, and sewers.
And all hidden.
Yeah.
So they don't know what other people know about them. They don't know. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't understand that, this is what all teenagers are doing.
Yeah, I mean, also, the scope of it, right? Of like, oh, I love this show. I don't know who else loves this show. I mean, I remember even me being younger watching, like you said, like we talked before, fucking Rumble in the Bronx or Walker Texas Ranger. I mean, I watched that so much as a kid by myself and never talked to a single person about it, and never realizing like the scope of like, till I got older, like, other people did watch this, and it was the massive show, you know?
Exactly. I thought Gilligan's Island, I was a sheltered kid. I thought Gilligan's Island was made just for me. Like, I literally was like, television has gone into my brain and seen what I love.
And you get older and realize it was one of the biggest shows of that whole era of TV.
Well, I didn't know that it was at that point in time like 20 some odd years old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I didn't know that it existed and my parents had watched it in the original run. I caught it in reruns when I was like 4 or 5 and was like, this is for me. Only for me. And Mom didn't have the heart to be like, I've seen all these a dozen times. But yeah. And the other thing too, why they don't get out and why they don't have human interaction is because we're still barely at the beginning of the movie.
I know.
Splinter is worried that they're all going to get milked for their blood.
Which is hilarious. What a weird way to put it. I thought when I first watched it, I thought that was a one-off joke. Like, I thought him saying it once was like, oh, that's just a weird, funny thing. That's not going to come back. And then it keeps coming back. And then it happens. And there's one line, too. I think it's Michelangelo who says, he's like, we don't even have nipples.
We don't even have nipples. And that comes up because April then says to him, you don't even have nipples.
Yeah.
What?
And she also asked him if they had ears. So I did Google if do turtles have ears. And they do. They're very tiny. But they got ears.
They got ears. I love
and they're like, tell her we got ears. And then she writes down, they think they got ears.
They think they have ears. They're unsure, but they think they do. I don't know, bro. This was one of the best things that we've watched in a while. Like, I love this. It's what is it? There's the fucking all of Splinter's milking stuff. When he shows up and they are being milked, and he's like, they milked you.
And then so this is a thing that I wanted to bring up too. I can't remember the other bad guy's name because she's not in it very long. But like the corporation lady.
I can't remember her name.
So even though I can't remember her name, and I'm not even going to try to say it because obviously I can't say names right ever. But if you notice, this one that the internet showed me later on watching the movie, on her name tag, the last name is a reference to Krang's planet. And now I remember you telling me about the other turtle show about the Krangs, like kind of infiltrating, like almost Secret War style, right? Like the So I think she's a Krang.
Oh, dude, that would be a hell of a setup.
Yeah.
And then it would make that teaser at the end make so much more sense too.
Exactly, yeah.
Wow. So we haven't even gotten into a couple of things. So when they introduced the rest of the mutants, because Baxter Stockman made Superfly, but at the same time he'd also created a bunch of other mutants.
Yeah. We have we got Rocksteady Bebop. We got Paul Rudd as a lizard. I don't remember their character's name. I just remember
Mondo Gecko.
Mondo Gecko. Yeah, the skateboarding gecko. And then Post Malone plays the singing mutant, the guy who sings "What's
Filet
Up."
Ray.
Yeah.
Or Ray Filet.
Yeah, that's Post Malone. And there's like the crocodile one.
Leatherface.
Leatherface. And then there's the weird other fly or cockroach. What is the
something?
Yeah, and then I think that's all of them.
That only speaks like gibberish or whatever. No. And then, no, isn't there like a bat-like thing that ends up flying?
Yeah.
I forget that one's name.
Yeah.
But they hit like a pantheon, and a lot lot are old turtle villains.
Yeah,
like
which I didn't know
had
before
Leatherface
that.
toy.
Yeah. I barely remember that at all those mutants. But that's what separated. I watched part of the same interview that I was talking about earlier. He talked about, he was like, yeah, when I was a kid, there were all these mutants that haven't been used in these movies. So it's like I wanted to do all the mutants of the toys that I had and make it into the movie.
And that's the thing. They would get like one episode they would show up in to just sell another toy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was that level of shit. But they would show up.
Felt like to me originally when they was like, Mutant Mayhem. They just want to fucking throw a bunch of mutants in here to sell a bunch of toys, which is definitely part of the reason. But I don't know. I did like the mutants more. Though I will say that's still the one thing I don't like about this movie. That if I've had to talk about things I don't like, I still think there's too many mutants, and I don't think they do enough in the movie.
I would agree. They threw everything at the wall there for sure. They don't do enough to validate them being there.
Like Rocksteady and Bebop, I don't think do anything in that movie, which sucks.
They do kind of help in the in the lab escape.
Yeah,
right.
I just hate that they have a face turn, and that also just bums me out.
Well, so let's talk about that because I felt the same way. I felt sort of cheated by the fact that Bebop and Rocksteady are good guys at the end of this. That's not right.
And the flip just kind of happens. I mean, I get it. I mean, shout out to this movie being an hour and 39 minutes, too. I fucking love that. Movies are way too long these days. It was incredible. To get all this story in just an hour and 39 minutes is amazing. I mean, we're already almost longer in this podcast talking about this movie.
Yeah.
But I guess that's where it comes down to, where now they have so many mutants and it's such a truncated runtime that, and I don't feel like they did anything really at all. And then they just turn good. Like, it's just like, it's like a flip of a switch. They're like, oh, no, we actually don't want to do any of this.
Yeah, I never wanted to be bad in the first place. No, you did. You were into it.
You've been doing all this.
You were cool with it.
He's Superfly's. They say he literally murdered those bank robbers or those robbers earlier. Like, they know he was murdering people, like straight up murder, not even just like, being mutant.
Not even just playing around murder.
Yeah,
straight up for real murder.
Yeah.
Not just goof them ups, knock them down. Those motherfuckers are dead.
No crazy
They're
like machine with a ray or goo. It's like he just straight up murdered them in that car.
They're not going home to their families. They're not going home to anything. Those guys are for real dead. So yeah, they know, but then they got bought into the notion, and this. Okay, so I'm going to draw a very weird line right now. And part of it happens with Splinter when they're at I'm just going to call it the milking booth. When they're in the Great American Milking, and Splinter shows up, and he's hearing Superfly say the exact words that he said earlier in the movie, right? He realizes that his idea of control is actually not to everybody's benefit, right? It can be detrimental to personal growth and personal choice.
Especially with teenagers.
Especially with teenagers. Because then you look at what Superfly is making these guys do that they don't want to do. They really want no real part of it.
Yeah.
But I thought that was, I thought Splinter's moment of realization in that moment, I thought was actually pretty huge too.
Because I mean, then, you look at, at least me being a teenager, it helped that my parents were a little like not as controlling. Because I mean, the kids that I knew that had the most controlling parents were the most fucked up kids.
They always say it's like preacher's kids. Yeah. Down here, it's always like preacher's kids are the worst. And why? Because they've constantly got these expectations set on them. Oh, well, daddy's got a sermon on Sunday, so you've got to be good. You've got to be extra this, extra that. And then what ends up happening? Like they're the ones that end up knocked up at graduation.
Yeah. Getting arrested for trying to smoke a joint or something.
Bro, for real. Like we had and I won't name names, but there was a super religious like family, and this lady was the head of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes down here, right, at our high school. Of all the people in her class, she booted my buddy. I'll hang on. This is great. So Griff, that was in our movie. They killed all the lady deers, or we get to kill the lady deers. Him. So he is big old school metalhead. He'd gone to see like Motley Crue or some shit, and he's wearing his tour shirt to school, and he was also a member of FCA, right?
Yeah.
Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Shows up at their meeting in his Motley Crue shirt, not thinking of anything, doesn't really, whatever, doesn't care, doesn't matter to him, it doesn't change who he is as a person, all of that fun shit. This chick has a fit. You can't wear that here, you got to get out, you got to change your shirt if you're gonna, whatever, blah, blah, blah. She graduated pregnant. He's like, and he's like, well, that should just tell you a little bit about hypocrisy, because if she was out living the life and walking the walk like she said she was, that never would have happened. And then I get yelled at about a stupid t-shirt, but she's the one who graduates pregnant. Ha ha. Like, it's the greatest thing ever.
So, yeah, I mean, that's what Splinter literally realizes. Like,
that's what he does. He's like, my boys are going to graduate milked and pregnant.
Yeah.
If I don't change
And what I love too about that scene, and this movie does it twice. It's like after the first montage where they learn kung fu, and it's when Splinter does a bunch of badass stuff. They play a soundbite that just says, "I'm a ninja," and it's just like this perfect, like, apparently it's from a song called the Karate Rap, which I've never heard of. Which apparently I guess was popular, I think, in the late 80s. But I love that soundbite because it's just like, it's like, yeah, there you go. It says it right there. They're ninjas. It's done.
It's over. It's at that point, it is squared away. I am a ninja. I'm a ninja. I do think they missed a golden opportunity to use the DeAntwoord song, Enter the Ninja.
Well, I think there's a lot of reasons why they wouldn't.
I mean, apart from just the language alone, to the controversy that is DeAntwoord, but missed a golden opportunity.
Oh yeah, and Wandering Robot here in the chat said, "Go Ninja, go Ninja, go." They did have the Ninja Rap too, also in the movie, which is an awesome fucking reference thrown in there.
An amazing little Easter egg. It's when, what is it? Mikey gets bashed in the face with something.
Yeah, he lands inside. It's like in the they're in the automotive shop when they're like first fighting somebody, and he gets thrown into a car and like hits the radio or something.
Yep. And he gets up and he's all like a little discombobulated, and you got Vanilla Ice in there. It's perfect.
We didn't even get to talk about that fight scene either, because I love how they fuck up like immediately. You know, they just start throwing shit and it's hidden everywhere else except for the bad guys.
The great thing that they did not do, and I think it's a testament to like just giving it enough. They don't go into any, like with the Ninja Rap, they give you just enough. Just the like 3 seconds that you need
enough
to be like, yes,
you will recognize it, but also like people who don't know it won't be like, what the fuck was that? You know?
And won't be forced into watching like a 3-minute thing, going back to making that a thing again. Yeah. It was a thing. It was fine. Give me more No Diggity.
Yeah.
That's what I'll say.
No Diggity. Yeah. So yeah, then what I love too about the milking scene, and this feels like some of the improv to me, is like they start singing. I mean, I don't know the band BTS at all either. That's I don't know shit about it, but I like when they start singing it. And then Donnie's like, "You guys don't even know the words." And to me, that I hope that's like an improv thing of like, the crew decided to start singing it, and then the actor just being like, "You guys don't even know the words."
Don't even know what it is. Like I love that moment too, because it's like they're trying to come together for him, but like nothing's gonna make him feel better while he's getting milked.
And then
Nothing.
what's comedy? What they always say, right? It plays best in wide shots. And there's a shot like right after the bad guy walks away, and she says, "All right, now we gotta fill the tank." And then it cuts the big wide of the tank, and it's like the size of like the ceiling that's like almost skyscraper level, like huge.
I love it. I love it. And because you're like, where are they going to get all that milk, man? And we keep saying milk. It's blood.
It's definitely
it's
blood.
their
Yeah.
blood.
But
Yeah.
she even says milking. The bad guy literally says, "I'm good." And the machine is called the milking something. I forgot the name of it, but it has like the milking 9000 or whatever.
It's hysterical. And I just wonder if Splinter was like, how do you feel when you say something and it's not necessarily in jest, but like, let's say you've always assumed something, like Splinter assumes that the humans are going to milk him. He has no real reason to believe that. But then when he sees that as reality, do you think there's a part of him that's like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like justified in that moment?
Oh, for
like,
sure.
aha.
Yeah. Because, I mean, he has that moment. He was like, "See, I told you they were going to milk
told
you."
you.
Yeah. He definitely, and like that, I think, also what I really like, too, because we talk about how teenagers shouldn't have that much structure, but then it also goes to the thing of like, well, also sometimes your parents are right. And it's like this nice balance of way, I mean, every family's fucked up in their own way, but it's like nice to like, I don't know, they in a movie world, they show that both sides of it of like, oh, you have to listen a little bit, their parents are not 100% right, but they're a little right. They're things you should listen to.
There are times where you will be very sad because your parents are correct.
It's like it really pisses me off about the last Halloween movie, where like fucking Laurie Strode's granddaughter, whatever, is still like going out, hanging out in Halloween, and Laurie Strode's like, "You can't do that. Michael Myers is still out there. He's gonna murder you." And then she's like, "Yeah, fuck you, Grandma. I'm going out anyway." It's like she's literally fought this fucking guy like how many times, and you're gonna be like, nah, I'll be fine. I'm going out
on
anyway.
Halloween, bro. On Halloween.
Yeah, and it's not even like it happens sporadically. Like it literally happens on this day all the time.
On every fucking Halloween. Why are you doing that? It's insane. So I don't know, dude. So from the milking machine, Superfly comes back, and then like, what is it? How is it he gets the ooze again? I literally just watched this, but I had to clean up a mess.
Well, he gets it from the factory or whatever, right? Because he breaks in when they're there, and then he brings it to his like machine because he's been stealing parts for it throughout the whole movie.
For his machine, that's what we bump into him doing. That's what we catch up with him doing, is he's getting parts for his machine, which he wanted to aim at the ocean to mutate everything on Earth, or he was going to put it in the atmosphere so it would rain down ooze.
Yeah, so it would kill people, or turn people into mutants, whatever.
And he would mutate everything, so then mutants would be the master race.
Yeah.
It's very Nazi-esque.
Yeah, and that's why all the other mutants turn against him. And I'm glad that they didn't do that route. I mean, I guess they did kind of set it up. But my biggest pet peeve about superhero movies, I may have said it on the show, but I hate when they either have to fight an evil version of themselves, or it's a giant beam in the sky. So I'm glad.
Always a giant beam in the sky, bro.
So I don't think we got a giant beam. We almost did, but I'm glad we did get the beam in the sky, acid rain stuff. You know, I'm glad they went the kaiju route with it and not the beam in the sky route.
Yes, 100%. I'm very, very happy that they did go kaiju, and the fact that he becomes this weird sort of amalgamation of like
Oh yeah, because they
all
fall
these.
into a zoo, right? Doesn't he like hit like the Central Park Zoo or some zoo? Or it might be the Bronx
Yep.
Zoo. I can't remember, but it's a zoo.
And then it's everything mushed into him, and he just becomes this giant.
Oh, he becomes a whale. 'Cause he
mess.
gets a whale from the water too.
Yup. It's borderline terrifying.
Yeah.
What Superfly becomes. Like
I,
it
I-
really
I almost
is.
felt bad actually for all the other animals that were, because he just has regular animals that are just, mutated onto him.
And growing off of him, like it's fucked up.
And the way
dude.
that he
like,
would talk about it, he's like, "Look at that! I got like giraffes for legs.
I got
I got a, I got a whale arm."
Yeah, it is exceptionally grotesque.
Because usually
What's
too,
coming
right,
off
in
of him.
movies where they do a kaiju thing, like the kaiju just becomes a monster at that point, right? He has like no real dialogue. He's just like, "Rah!" and destructive Godzilla monster. And I like that Ice Cube is still Ice Cube as the kaiju.
As Superfly,
Yeah.
Superfly still got
Yeah.
his voice. Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
And his personality
Oh.
didn't change either. You know, he was still just like the same Superfly, just now gigantic and gonna fuck everybody up that way instead.
Dude, it's so good. And then what is it? There's fucking. So of course they have to go and save the day, but now they've got the team of mutants with them. And what is it? The Batwing, whatever, flies Splinter on top of the van.
Yeah.
And when that van, what is it? When Splinter has, it's like the anti-mutagen or whatever.
Yeah.
He's got that in his hand, and when he like jumps off and he's getting so close to Superfly, and
And he gets like knocked like fucking like way down the street, like far.
blocks, bro,
Yeah.
city blocks. It's like, because he's got what, all four turtles in one hand,
Yeah, and the claw.
right?
He's like trying to crush their shell.
And then Splinter's coming in, he's got the thing, and then it's just this like, whoa, bam, bitch slaps him all the way down the block. A couple of blocks, I would say. That, the first time I saw that, I was like, oh, we just lost Splinter.
Yeah.
Splinter, dead as fuck. Like,
His ankle got
dead
fucked
in the
up.
mug.
And that's the moment where New York City comes together. You know, that's when they like help him up, and then you get the delivery guy being like, "I got this," and like starts to like run with the bag. I love that they put it too in that New York City style like delivery plastic bag. You know, like the Chinese food bag. It's amazing.
Yes. Again, the city's a character.
Yeah.
The city is a
'Cause
character.
it goes from
in
the
this.
delivery guy to a taxi. Then there was like a third one too, but it was like the perfect like three like New York City kind of like delivery people, which I love.
The way shit gets delivered
Yeah.
around town. Yeah.
And then like
Yeah.
when they're fighting the monster and they're like doing their thing to get the the anti-mutagen into the blowhole, like they have like crane operators and like ambulances like running into it, like all the things you see in New York City like on a daily basis.
Dude, they did a lot with that it just I don't know how to put it, man. Like that whole sequence is really just something special to look at, because it's not only like just well drawn, well animated, it's thought through in this sort of like Rube Goldbergian type sort of scenario, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's awesome.
Yeah,
It's a
like Joey
great
said,
ending.
it's like the Spider-Man 2 thing. I always think about the Spider-Man 1 scene where they're like throwing the trash cans at like the garbage at Green Goblin. The guy's just like, "This is New York. Like you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us."
Right.
That's one thing I'll always love about New York City, man, is that like we hate each other every day, and we will ignore each other and tell each other to fuck off on a constant daily basis. But then you fuck with New York City once, all of New York City will join together and come after you.
It's like a collective head turn that says "fuck you,"
Yeah.
and then it's back, and it reverberates for literally like hundreds of miles.
Yeah,
like hundreds of miles.
So yeah.
I don't know. There's a reason I keep coming back. I enjoy that.
That's why I love New York City so much, and that's why I love this movie so much, man. Yeah. So we get to the end. Superfly ends up, getting destroyed. All the animals break off, which now are running free around New York City.
So silly. But I mean, it is what it is. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
And I guess I guess they had to do that because my initial brain too was like they just murdered all these animals. Like that was my initial thought. I was like, they just straight up murdered this, took this whale out of the ocean, and also I like when the whale got disattached, it like landed in a giant puddle that was in the street.
Yes. Now I actually have a weird question for you about that post-credit scene too.
Yeah.
Well,
before we get to the post-credit scene, there's I want to get into, because now we get to like kind of the epilogue moment where Splinter falls in love with his cockroach lady, and they start making out. He was like, it's very hard to meet mutants my age. And then they just start making out, and it's like,
that to me, like, because it's a hell of a sound.
Yeah.
And there's such a moment where you're like, you're so happy that Splinter's like found some level of love in this. He got what he wanted too.
You got someone also. Because Splinter is also alone. So yeah, we didn't even mention Splinter's surprise birthday party he tried to throw for the turtle crew.
Oh my God, we haven't even. So I think this should be a point in our show where we get to like honorable mentions for stuff. Because that scene too. So the guys have been out with April. They've been running around. They've been up to. They
do a thing which is something I used to do so much as a teenager, where my mom would be sitting on the couch. She's like, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "No," and she'll be coming back for dinner. I'd be like, "Yeah, don't worry, I'll be gone. All right, bye." And then I'd be like out the door already.
Already gone as you're saying it. Yep. Okay. Gotcha. See you. Bye. Bye.
Yeah.
Done. But the thing is, though, is what Splinter did. Like, and this I felt for him more than them. They can't bring April home. They would much rather be attached to her and what they're doing, right, as teenagers. Then you've got Splinter, who is like trying to genuinely connect with his kids. He goes, "Okay, you want to be a human? Well, okay, don't worry. I found all your human stuff. I found your human clothes. I found this." Wait, what? Where did you find those? Where? Huh? Those aren't ours. Those aren't ours. And then he's like, no, it's okay. It's okay. I brought you human friends. And I
got the 3 curses.
Oh, it's the dumbest thing in the world. It's so funny. And then, and he goes, "No, you'll have a real human dining experience. You can order anything you want on the menu, as long as it's pizza."
Yeah, it has to be pizza.
Has to be pizza. And, no, thanks. We're good. We're not hungry. We'll see you later. Thank you. This is a beautiful setup.
He has a sense of loneliness, because Splinter's alone too, just as much as they are.
Just as much as they are. And like, that's the kicker. They're always going to have each other, because they're brothers and they're all turtles. But then you've got one lone rat who had his 4 turtle babies that he cared for. And then now it's like he has to come to grips with them really growing up. Yeah. It's kind of sad.
It is sad. I mean, but that's also, I guess, I don't have any kids, but that's got to be part of a parent too, right? It's like your teenagers also, then just leaving you at a certain point and you're just alone.
And then you're just there by yourself.
And there's one of my favorites, another honorable mention too, like right after that surprise party scene, when April goes to the lair to tell Splinter about them being kidnapped. And then Splinter hears her come in, and then he's like excited. He's like, "Oh, my surprise party really worked. Oh, I love this." And then he's like, he sees April, and he's just like, "I'm gonna bite you. Stay away." like this, like, and that's why I love Jackie Chan so much in this, because the beat in that, like, I didn't do it justice, but there's like this perfect switch of how excited and like hopeful, like, oh, my plan worked. I'm so glad my boys appreciated this, and then it's like, I'm gonna bite you. Stay away.
So much talent there. It's yeah, both of those bits are tremendous. And again, like Jackie Chan, wonderful. I hope he does more and more. Like
do I.
him, huh?
I said, so do I.
Because he's exceptional.
Yeah.
Like
I didn't
and not
expect,
even-
especially in a world now where he's 60-something years old and he can't do the stunts that he used to do. You know, now if he can be able to pull off being a voice actor, that's fucking incredible.
And make him every anthropomorphized mutant rat that you can find, because he did a tremendous job.
So yes, we get to this epilogue when you know, everybody is having a good time. All the mutants are living in the lair. There's a really awesome moment where it's like, okay, so the turtles are going on their first day of school, and then Michelangelo is like the last one to leave the sewer, and you know, Splinter's watching them go, and he takes his mask off and drops it into the sewer in front of Splinter. And Splinter has this moment of like sadness, but also kind of happy about it. And it's like, I don't know, for me, it's just this really interesting moment, because for one, I've never seen the turtles really take their mask off ever.
Right.
And it's definitely weird to look at first. But
it is.
It's this, I love this like kind of freeing moment of being like, okay, yeah, I'm not a ninja right now. I'm going to go be a teenager.
I'm a kid. I'm gonna be a kid. And that, I think, comes with that moment of understanding, is that even though Splinter is not necessarily, he's never really gonna leave the house. You know, he might pop up a little bit more often than he did, but he's still gonna be a homebody. He's still gonna live in the sewers. That's where he is. But the fact that like he can actually see his kids have this moment where they're like, we can come out, we can be seen by the world, and we feel comfortable without this mask on. It's also another one of these very like telling sort of moments. You only get that shit in like movies. You don't ever get that
not
in reality.
real life. Yeah. But it's the one shot that does it though. I just really love of just like the mask falling into the sewer.
Into the yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, we leave this here. We leave this here. When we're up here, we're different now. We're different.
Yeah, then they go to high school, which is hilarious to me. There's Ninja Turtles in high school.
I love that beat of everybody just staring at them at first, and then you're like, oh no, they're gonna get embraced. Of course,
they're gonna be the
cool
most
kids.
popular kids in school. And in probably an annoying way. At least I would imagine. Like it might go to their. I mean, that's what, like I can imagine. I can see in the sequel them kind of like starting to get their own crew, and then like one of them, you know, being with like the popular kids, and then April kind of getting shoved out in a way.
Getting shoved to the side.
Yeah.
I can actually see, like if I were to push it, and it sort of alluded to it in Prom, just in the simple fact that Raphael was the guy in Derek's tuxedo shirt, Derek's tuxedo T-shirt.
Yeah.
I can see Raph being a jock. I
Yeah.
can see him being on like the fucking football team.
He's gotta be. If you have a football team, you don't got Raph. If that was my high school, I'd be like, Raph, you're playing on any sport, especially football right now.
Definitely. Anything where somebody gets hit and you don't have to be technical about it, right? Like he is a football player. That's happening. Michelangelo, like normally I would think he would fall in with like the stoners, but you can't give that in a kid's show. So definitely
improv
I think
works. That's kind of the same. You know, the same crew probably would hang out at the improv.
Oh, the improv, the drama group? Yeah, totally. And Donatello's found his group with the geeks. Leo's going to end up with the prep squad. 100%. Like he's going to be class president, and that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, so I can't wait to see how that all plays out, because then we finally get to the fucking post credit.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what like really gave me a boner at the end of this movie. When I saw it in theaters, I was like, yes, the Shredder. Finally, yeah. Because I honestly didn't think they were going to do the Shredder in a way. because I didn't hear them ever talk about it, and I assumed they were like, "Oh, that's an overdone thing," which it is, and they just weren't gonna touch upon it, which could be an interesting thing. But man, they're like, "Oh, seeing the Shredder, fuck yeah, so good."
So there's also something right before we get to Shredder that I found very interesting.
Okay.
Just real quick. So in that lady who we have established we feel is a Krang, right? When we see her and her guy again, like her little army man, there was a fly and a jar.
Oh, I didn't even notice. At least I don't remember.
Yeah, there's a fly in a jar. So my question is, when Superfly was destroyed and all the animals went back to being animals, do you think maybe he was a fly?
Probably, right? If they all just went back to normal, that's probably Superfly, like right there, I imagine.
Yeah, if you literally like just fast forward and like watch through just that little bit right before she's like sending the Shredder, and then you get him looking out over New York City, right from the fucking
so
from Jersey,
like from Jersey, yeah. But he looks badass as hell, man.
and
like,
you just catch that profile, bro. Like you just catch that profile
everywhere. Oh, he looks menacing. Like, oh, so good.
It's gonna be baller, and I don't know, dude. Like I want you to go back through because I literally think that I think that's Superfly.
Yeah, it has to be. I mean, that makes total sense. Like, it's got to be.
Yeah, because it's not like anything really got killed. I don't think.
Yeah.
If all the other animals are
Survived,
fine,
yeah.
you would assume that anti-mutagen.
I don't know how they would catch the fly, but yeah,
but
definitely makes sense.
It's a little purple fly in a jar,
Yeah,
just
like
kind
why
of
else
buzzing
would they
around.
even have that there? So that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, Ben, what are your final thoughts? I know we're about 2 hours in, and we still have to talk about next week. I didn't.
Yeah.
We literally have talked longer than the movie itself.
I know it's too good. We still didn't touch on everything. No, dude, I love it. It's a big success. I don't know if we're if we're pushing coming. It's got its challenges, but it's still the best looking and arguably one of the best turtle stories that I've seen in a long time.
Yeah. Give it
love it.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it an old
success.
So the only thing that holds me back from coming is I said there's just too many mutants. Like that's the thing that just kind of turned me off, and like that was what turned me off initially. And then still in the movie, I felt like you could have cut out half these mutants, and the story doesn't change at all.
You could have cut out half of them, and you could have given them a little more business. And
like Rocksteady and Bebop should have stayed heels. Just saying. But I don't know. I still love it though. I love the relationship between the turtles. I fucking love Jackie Chan. I loved Ice Cube. I mean, and the animation is just fucking beautiful. It's, everything about it, and it's unique. And like like we said, it's a thing now between Spider-Verse, Arcane, Mitchell's vs. Machines. Also, this was actually directed by the guy who did Mitchell's vs. Machines. But having
that makes sense.
I honestly, like, a part of me feels like that style could be overplayed, but then it keeps reinventing itself, and this still reinvents itself in a way that it's like I said, like there's moments where like, oh, that's a 3D thing, and then an explosion happens, and it's fucking like squiggle lines and drawing fire. There's like these really small details that are just amazing.
And there's weird like 2D detailing on like a 3D rendered thing.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times you'll see like Superfly on like his muscles, he'll have these like squiggly green lines just kind of dancing on his skin. Sick. You know what I mean?
And I like too is if you look at even their layer, all their posters and stuff like that, they're like, and this I've now remembered too, Seth Rogen talked about this, was that like they're like recognizable posters. But then they're drawn in this weird, like, way. Like, they just become squiggly. Like, you'll see something that says this is a milk carton, but then the K in the milk kind of goes off to the side and like kind of squiggles off. Or like I remember there was a poster of Michael J. White, and you can tell it's Michael J. White, but it's so just like pastel drawn like squiggle stuff, and I love that kind of detail to it a lot.
Joe Duff disagrees with us. He says he loves all the mutants. He remembers playing with them.
Well, I'm still giving it a
success.
So it's fine. I do like the mutants more the third time around too. I mean, Splinter making out with the cockroach lady is definitely a highlight for me forever.
Yeah, I'm gonna carry that for a minute too, James. I'm gonna carry that for a minute.
And I do want to recommend a Jackie Chan movie too, real quick, because I just watched this recently. It's a little movie called Wheels on Meals, and it's Jackie Chan and his buddy, and they live in Italy, and they're like a Chinese food car, and it's a comedy. It's like an action comedy, but it's way more comedy than it is action. And they're like they live in Italy or whatever. And in the opening scene, this is one of my favorite things ever, because Jackie Chan, like, to avoid rent, he flips out his window, lands on like an awning, and some Italian, and like bounces off the awning and flips to the ground, all in one shot. It's like pretty amazing. And then he goes to the Italian guy, just being like, what the fuck? And then the Italian guy, then like his friend goes to do the same thing, and then the Italian guy moves the awning in, and his friend just falls straight down from like right on his ass. Like, it's hilarious. And there's a whole bit with a cop in it, but it also has one of the greatest fight scenes I have ever watched. It's like Jackie Chan versus guy who was a real fighter, just called the Jet, because he was like wicked fast at punches. But it's amazing movie. Wheels on Meals, 1988. It's on Amazon. People should go watch it too. Watch this movie.
Wheels on Meals, babies. Yeah. But apart from that, what should they watch for next week, James?
All right. Next week, we are watching Treehouse of Horror 4. Now, we do have a guest. And Ben, I think you should announce to the guest. Out of fear, I'm going to totally fuck up how to say their names. Because that's a big trend happening in their past couple episodes.
We're bringing on our friend from Late Night Ghouls, and oh gosh, she's doing fright caps with her old man now, and the Big Dan show, and Big Danzy with your eyes right here at the Fantasy Shed. We've got Liz, aka Pretty Hate Machine, is joining us, so she'll be joining us.
To her, man, I've been editing her shit for a while now, and seeing her in the Sphere, listening to you on their show, so it's cool to finally meet the person that I've had this weird connection with on Instagram only. Yeah.
On Instagram only. Yeah, no, it's gonna be a good time. We are watching Treehouse of Horror 4, but I think we're gonna sprinkle in a couple of more. I'm low-key talking with her about adding
also,
one
I have
or two more.
A second guest, a surprise guest I'm gonna throw in there, because I couldn't do a Simpsons episode without asking a certain person to come on. So John Bergio is also joining us on the show.
Papa John's not just running the booth for us. He's going to be on.
Yeah, he's going to be a guest for us, because I can't do Simpsons without that guy, because he's a young dude, man, but he's seen a lot of Simpsons.
He knows all the Simpsons.
Yeah,
all of them.
He's taught me. I can't
wait. So I'm gonna be working with Liz a little bit to get us together a couple of more.
You get to make the list. You get to send out the list this time. I'm gonna text you. I'm gonna text you like 100 times this week. Is there a list? Where's the list?
Do we have a list? Do we have a list? So yeah, we'll make sure that comes in pretty quick. But I'm stoked. Spooky season begins next week.
No more turtles.
No more turtles for a minute.
Even though also, we talked about it last time too, and I know now I'm making the show go long, but we talked about it last time how the Turtle show isn't streaming anywhere. But now Paramount finally has every Turtles streaming on the app, which is really cool. So there's also that to check out.
So Paramount Plus, guys.
They listen to us, Ben.
Get somebody. They did. They heard. They're one of 4 people in the chat. They said these guys know what's up. But yeah, dude. On that note, Simpsons next week. got us a guest, got us two.
Hopefully they show up this time.
It's going to be a party.
All right. Turtle power. Let's fucking get
Turtle power. Cowabunga, dude.
You guys, this is all Kyle's mom's fault. Shut up, Cartman. Kyle's mom is the one that started that damn club, and all because she's a big, fat, stupid bitch. Don't say it, Cartman. Wait. Don't do it, Cartman. Wait. I'm warning you. Okay.
Hello, peasants. Want to kill all humans?
We're there, dude. We'd like some money.
Yeah, money.
Money is cool.
Aren't you ashamed?